How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing fantastic. It is Sunday morning. Sunday. Let's see what's the date. Sunday, July 13th, the year 2025. So those of you watching this video from the year 2250, you're gonna know exactly what year this video is made in. And we're gonna go here and we're gonna paint. So let me pull up my references. Yes, I use references. I use a lot of references. For this painting, I have like 12 different references. And I use an app called PureRef. That's P-U-R-E-R-E-F. R-E-R-E. I'm pulling that up right now just so I can get all my images together. Because it's very important to have your images. Very important to have your references, your ideas, all the things that you're going to use to create your next masterpiece. And that's what this is all about, making your next masterpiece. Now, your next masterpiece doesn't have to be a masterpiece that's been lauded throughout all the next 100 years by every top curator and millions of people. That doesn't have to be what a masterpiece is. It could just be something you created that you really, really like. Now, that's not the technical definition of it, of course, but let's as artists, we have the opportunity to really create the world around us, to mold the world around us, to mold the world around our beliefs, our thoughts and things. And that's the benefit of painting, doing any sort of creative artistic activity. Therefore, you can make up your own ways of understanding what a masterpiece is to suit your needs. Now, not everyone will agree with you. People will think you're delusional, maybe. That's fine too. But at some level, I think all artists have to be at least even mildly delusional. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And let's be real here. Lots of artists are cats. And let's talk about that. Let's jump into a little bit of creative humor. What's up, AJs? Hey, well, if you're over the age of 18 and you want to plug your channel or your Instagram, feel free to. And I'm happy to show it, but I won't share it if you're under the age of 18. So just putting that out there for you. That is an option. I love to promote and share what other artists are doing as well as my own stuff. That said, Gatorade is such a great drink. That said, let's have a little art humor before we get started. You know what? Let's talk about like subtle delusions of artists. And I'm using the word delusion in like a neutral sense. I'm not trying to use it in like a criticism of anybody or anything like that. Just like neutral, just talking about it in a very light way. I think it's a funny thing for people to think, oh, you know, this artist thinks that their art's going to go somewhere. They're delusional. This artist thinks that they're going to go big, right? And you have like these haters, trolls, like your work sucks, all those things. But I think it's not the really big, overarching, like huge goals, huge ambitions that makes an artist seem delusional. It's the minor things. And again, I'm saying this sort of loosely, not really overly seriously, but you know, it's the little things that when you're first starting your artwork, when you're first starting to paint, and people are like, I can't start painting until I know that I have the perfect supplies to last me make this painting last forever. I need to know the exact form of glazing. I need to know the exact sort of sealant. I need to know the perfect paints that are going to survive 100, 200 years. And there are actually artists like that. I've definitely known or read about artists who, you know, they have this belief that their artwork is going to thrive and last outside of a Goodwill more than 100, 200 years. And I wouldn't say that that's like a subtle delusion, right? To think that someone, that's at least like 6 generations of families that are like, maybe even 10 generations of families that need to preserve your work. 10 generations of people that need to preserve your work over 200 years. That's a long time for anybody to really want to preserve your work. But there are artists who like just starting out, and I guess like the underlying thing that I'm trying to say here is like, go out and paint. Don't spend too much time analyzing what it takes to make your painting last 200 years, the exact supplies and all that. And those are some interesting delusions, other than, you know, those grand sweeping delusions that you might think of an artist has. It's these subtle ones. Well, I need to use paints that makes my art last 200 years. So, or what are they? I think the proper term is like conservation friendly or archival friendly, right? Like I think archival is the term where you can archive it for however many years. That's a selling point for a lot of canvases. This is definitely an archival canvas. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. You know, a little less rambling and more scumbling. Now, I'm not going to scumble on this painting. And my thoughts on that weren't necessarily for geared toward this painting, but you know, but realistically, I mean, you know, anyone who really gets serious into artwork, wants to do it professionally, there has to be some level of, you know, desire to stand the test of time, at least a couple years after you're gone, right? At least for a couple years. No one wants to be forgotten immediately after they've passed away. But that is definitely a ambition here. So an ambition as far as like the art scene goes. So let's go with this little, we're gonna fix up this little what do you call it? Cuppa? I think there's a name for it. Cuppa. There's a Hebrew word for it. I'm pretty sure it's just cuppa because it is a cup. And that's a word that sounds like it could possibly represent a cup. So, because I know there's a chuppah, which is the big thing that, you know, everyone stands under. And then there's a cuppa, maybe? Anyway, I want to enlarge this cup. That's what I want to do right now. Let's enlarge this cup. So we're going to take a nice deep gray here. I want to make this cup a little bit bigger. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. Take a nice deep gray. We're going to enlarge it just a little bit. We're going to enlarge it to the size of these flowers here. So, actually, you know what? We're going to raise it just a little bit. A bit more distinct here, and then add some brighter highlights along it. We're going to add some more highlights. By the way, I am totally for artists who are a little bit delusional or even full of themselves. I support it. You know, like I like Conor McGregor, right? I like Conor McGregor. I like, I'm not saying don't be humble. I'm just saying that, you know, I used to like Kanye when he was, you know, first getting out there talking about being the greatest, but, you know, things have changed a little bit. Not the fan of his personality. don't go full Kanye if you're gonna, you know, have overconfidence. I think Conor McGregor is like the furthest you want to go. Muhammad Ali is the perfect example, right? The greatest alive. Let's use Muhammad Ali as an example. Talking about all these other figures, but who's actually a good example of someone who really believed in themselves, who reached the tops, but also, you know, is humble, but also had to use a little bit of personal ambition to go places. All right, Crazy Fox. What's up, Crazy Fox? Hope you're doing great. What's going on with you? What's the latest? What is your ambition for this Sunday? This wonderful Sunday afternoon that you're given to do what you want with it. All right, so I want to make the cup stand out a bit more. And for this dress, let me tighten up his suit. Honestly, I really only have like these few minor details left, I feel. And then I'm good to go as far as all right, let's find a good brush to do this. Why am I stuttering a lot this morning? A lot more than usual. I think I'm stuttering a lot more than usual. Okay, let's tighten up this area of the dress here. Let's grab some black paint. All right, and what I'm going for, I'm gonna pop out my Gamblin 1980. Gamblin 1980 is a really good brand to get started. It's a little different than Gamblin. So Gamblin 1980 is like regular Gamblin, except I think what they do is they add a little bit more oil and less pigment. So you're getting less deep pigment. That's all I could really figure out. So refined linseed, flax oil, plus, you know, plus whatever material, you know, pigment is in it. And I think they just use a little bit more oil in it as opposed to like pure pigment, which, you know, every little bit can add a lot of difference into, every little bit of oil adds a lot of difference into the final composition of the paint tube. And, you know, I'm sure this probably uses as high of quality of pigment as the regular Gamblin, but, you know, Gamblin considers themselves like the professional, literally just like professional brand, and Gamblin 1980 is their artist brand, I guess is how they define it. Personally, I think Gamblin 1980 is a great intro as far as like intro professional brands that could be used professionally, because I've used so many other paints, and, you know, they call themselves artist oil, professional oils, and if you really compare like the quality standard as far as you know, oil paints that are easy to access, easy to get, Gamblin 1980 is great, and they're easy to get, stuff that you could find in a, you know, in a store, or you could just get easily from Amazon. But what's awesome is that if you really compare Gamblin 1980, even though Gamblin has like these two brands, you gotta know, like, and the other ones, regular Gamblin is much more expensive. I would say that the Gamblin 1980 is definitely a great, fantastic brand. It's good. It's consistent. It's consistently great. So there we go. All right, let's drop this Gamblin. Oh yeah, I already dropped the Gamblin 1980. So we're gonna go Here's where we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go bring a suit. Just get a tiny bit of paint. I'm gonna paint into this suit area here. Just paint that enough to separate the dress. And I think the dress looks good. I'm gonna add just a little bit more over here. Some of this is getting lost to some of the stuff in the back. But I'm pretty much there. We're pretty much there. We're pretty much almost done with our painting here. So that's very exciting. And then we're gonna be working on that really big one I started the other day, which was a the paint over, our exciting little paint over. Let's see. Okay, we got white, black on this brush. I don't want black. I want white. Honestly, I probably don't even want this brush. This brush has really managed to maintain its structure. So I want to switch brushes here. Let's go for my flat one. Just the flat one. Okay. Here we go. We're coming to here. Actually, you know what? Some of this blue isn't too bad. But I want to clean it away with something toned down a little bit. I want to tone this window down just a bit. As far as the reflections go, I'm just going to tone this window down a little bit. It's a little too bright. Add maybe some more of these details in the other windows just to help keep it like a consistent, you know, multi-dimensional. Keep them multi-dimensional here. Let these blues shine a little bit. And just a little bit of gray. Find a good gray here. The one thing that I've learned a lot in this painting, and you know this, when I say this, anyone who like even studied color theory for an hour has probably heard this before. But you know, sometimes it's good to like know things because you've really thought about it and experienced it, and then sometimes it's good to know things just to know. But there's this, what I'm really noticing from this, and I try to learn something all the time, right? I feel like I'm always learning. I feel like even if I had painted for 10,000 hours, some people say that have said, I did a survey and I asked, I was like, hey, if I painted for 10,000 hours, would anybody call me a master, consider me a master? And they said, yeah. But honestly, I feel like if I did paint for 10,000 hours, I still wouldn't feel like a master. I feel like at 10,000 hours, I'd still be like, oh, what should I do? You know, I'd still feel like a student in some way. And ultimately, so let me get back to the lesson. So the lesson that I learned from this painting specifically is how different things are when you paint. So if I put a very light gray next to a black, that black is going to be darker and that light gray is going to look even lighter Now that's like that's a pretty standard rule in art or color theory, is when things are only as bright or dark as compared to the color that's next to it. And we've all seen this experiment where you take like two colors. One is black and then the other is white, but when you put the white next to the black on a checkerboard versus the white next to another white or gray on a checkerboard, they look like two separate colors, but they're the exact same shade. And we all know that. We've all seen that experiment. We all know what the illusion is that's created. And I've definitely heard that as a lesson in painting. But ultimately for me, it is something that I've definitely noticed a lot more in this painting than I have in any other painting comparatively. So I'm just adding like, some extra details here. Just little flourishes. Fuck flourishes. You know what? After I put this color on top, I don't think it'll let's go. Push it to the end. I know Josh Harvey came in and said something. What's up, Josh? How you doing? Hope you're doing great. Josh, you know what, Josh? So Josh wants to know about pricing. I don't know if you want me to put you on blast here, Josh, because you sent me. But I'm happy to show your work, and let's ask people on my live stream how much you should get for painting. Because we've had a conversation. I will not price your painting for you, but I will show you some ways you could possibly get it priced. So if you want, but again, I don't know. You're over 18. I hope I think you said that you do filmmaking in South Africa, which means you must be over the age of 18 if you're working in South Africa. All right, you don't mind? All right, give me a few minutes and let me tighten up some of these details here. And then we could jump into that. But Corey is really adamant, or Josh Harvey, not Corey, Josh, is really intent on me to help him price some artwork. And here's the thing, if anyone asks me like how much I should sell this for, I really won't do it. I won't tell you, because I think ultimately the most important thing is to know how to value yourself, because there's no formula for artwork and like I'm talking like professional, top of their game. And we like top of the game might not even mean the same thing to artists that are getting paid a lot, right? Like it might, like an artwork might even be priced extra high just because there's an extra layer of buyer or agent trying to get in on the deal, right? So at the highest level, as far as financial value goes of artwork, at the highest level, like, there's really it's really hard for anybody who isn't up there working in those that level of sale to price their pieces, right? And you know, I could give you a formula, a goofy formula. I consider it a goofy formula. You know, like, oh, well, 1 hour minimum wage per hour times the square inches of your painting times the amount of time that it took times the number of people minus the amount that you're supposed to minus the amount of your area times like the square root of 54 divided by pi plus how much your cat eats every month so that you can actually feed your cat too, and you know, all these factors, right? Like there's like you can make those up. I don't believe in them. I think they can be helpful, but I don't believe in them myself. So there you have it. Let me do one more of these like lines here. There you go. Oh, what's going on? Pretty much there. I just need to tighten up. All right, let's take a little breather and let's put Joshua Harvey on blast here. Outside America, I don't. Corey. Oh, Corey. There's a Corey here. I said Corey, but I didn't mean, for whatever reason I said Corey. I forgot that Omizu's name is Corey. 1825. Oh, so they're not even yours. So you're trying to get me to do consulting work for you for free, Joshua? That's what you're trying to do? I see how it is now. You want me to do consulting work for you for free. Advisory, American fine art advisory work for free. Oh, well, you know what? I can't, like, now I know, like, I feel so used, Joshua. I feel so used now, but I'm not going to share that work because it's not yours. So I guess we'll have to scrap that. Joshua got hired as an advisor and wanted to use me to do his advising work for free. Oh, Joshua. You couldn't even offer me like a cut of the final sale of that. And here I was, and hey, what's up, mean girl? I hope everybody can hear the bit of humor in my voice. I'm not really trying to, you know, to put Joshua in that hot seat of using me like that. But yes. But thanks, mean girl, for supporting. So Joshua's trying to resell them. That's the mean girl's job. Omizu says that's my way of saying I don't know. But here's the thing, Omizu. He didn't ask me how would a gallery pay, how much would a certain gallery pay for the paint. He asked me how much I would pay for it. And the truth is, you know, the art that he has, I wouldn't buy that type of art, right? Like I wouldn't purchase that type of art for my apartment personally, you know? So like, even if there was a price on it, like he asked me how much I would pay for it. I wouldn't pay for it. And not because it's not good. And, you know, I think every artist has to come to this acceptance that not all your art is for everybody, and not, you know, 99.9% of people probably won't pay for your artwork, or won't want to. But like, you know, I just think at the core of it, it's just, for me, it's not my audience. And truthfully, I can't put a value on that. Andre Breton called Salvador Dali a vida dollars because of his penchant for making money. Yes. Yes. He was, I mean, there are some remarkable, talented people that are just so good at making money with their art. Now, you know, I'm not gonna, I wouldn't say how much I make, but there would be signs, right? There would be signs that I was making a lot more money with my art. You would be able to tell. There would be signs. I'd be driving a Lamborghini, or I'd have my driver drive me in a Bugatti, or maybe have a driver for my Rolls Royce. And you'd probably, instead of looking at my wall back here, that's surprisingly empty for an artist, you'd probably be looking out over an ocean view, okay? So there would be signs if I was as spectacularly brilliant at making money via art as Dali. There would be signs. I might even be painting in my garage with my Lamborghini in the background, okay? So when I reach that point, y'all will know. And then I think at that point, Omizu will no longer donate, support my channel with $2.99 a month. Thank you, everybody that does that. But I feel like Omizu wouldn't do that anymore. And then there goes the cycle of like, okay, so at what point are you supporting an artist, and at what point are you just fueling an extraordinarily lavish lifestyle? Which, you know, that's probably a good problem to have. That's probably a good dilemma, a good question, a good problem to have is, you know, when people want to stop supporting you because you make so much money, and they don't feel like, oh, well, you know, I should maybe give this channel $3 a month, or $5, give a super chat, right? But hey, I saw people donate to saw people donating to, I think it was like who went live? It was like Curtis Jackson or something. 50 Cent like went live one time, or someone went live, and oh no, it was Drake. Someone gave Drake like like $5 or $10 or something, and Drake was like, dude, I didn't know that, you know, that people are gonna give me money. Don't give me money. You need it, you know? I think Selena Gomez did that one time too. She didn't realize, she went on TikTok, and she didn't realize that people on TikTok actually give real, like the roses and everything is all real money. And she didn't realize that. And she ended up donating everything she made to charity, but like, you know, it's one of those things. Reach a point where people are so crazy about you that they will pay you whether you're incredibly successful or you are not. You're thick and thin. All right. No opportunity left behind for making money. Andre Breton, and you think you were misunderstood. You just want opinion on the cost. Yes, I understood. All right, so since this is for somebody else, you're just trying to sell another piece. I can't really help you on that here on this channel because that's a totally different situation. That is a totally different situation. But thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being honest about what was going on now, after the fact, after using me to price a potential sale for you. I'm thinking about what area needs some work, so. Space right here. Need some separation. All right, so we're actually almost done with this. Just a couple more things. I really just want to get right. I think it's okay that these two sections, one has a brighter color than the other, because they are in different light settings. This one's a little bit brighter, that one's a little bit more muted as far as color goes. These details at the top, I don't think tightening them up would really give away. So let me get back into the dress. I want to tighten up the dress. I think that's the most important thing, is just making this dress. This dress is important, not these buildings. I think the bride looks great per this painting, and the groom looks great. So really, at this point, I just need to feel good enough about the dress that I'm willing to say that it's finalized. Joshua already paid Omisa the big bucks. Yes. So Joshua, yes. To that question, yes. You're trying to implicate me in conspiracy. What kind of conspiracy? He also asked Corey, what kind of conspiracy over the artwork? Let's see. So yes, Corey, because it felt like it would give honest feedback, no bullshit BS. So yeah, I mean that's so if you're coming from like art dealer perspective, I mean, even then, if you ask me how much I would buy your work for, I would still say I probably wouldn't buy that piece. Again, not because I don't think it's good, not because like whatever. You can see my walls. Like, that's my work. I keep my work on my walls. Now, on the other hand, my girlfriend, she might, if she was to travel to a foreign country and see that art at a tourist destination, she might buy that piece. She might buy something like that. So if you can find her and you want to ask her how much she would pay for it, you can try. But I'm not going to tell you. What do I keep doing? Focus, Emmett. Stop talking to Josh. Not only was he trying to get you to do his consulting work for you, but now he's pulling you in all sorts of directions. All right, here's what I gotta do. I need to there's a couple areas to tighten up here. All right, actually, you know what? Let's add some yellow here. Yellow. Let's grab this like yellow red. I feel like I haven't really done very much of anything in this painting so far. It's the reason why is because and I'm okay with that, partially because I feel like I'm at the point in this painting where I don't want to overdo too much. I don't want to overdo anything, actually. So trying to keep it like limited and focused on a few little areas and ideas is what I need to do, as opposed to trying to get too much detail. grab some of this yellow. I'm gonna come around with this, make some of the yellow pop out. But also to Omizu's point, Omizu said that you know, I just didn't know. Omizu was making fun of me, saying that, you know, I was kind of just like saying all that stuff because I didn't know. And although that's true, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna have like some kind of comeback for that, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, why do I always forget stuff so quickly? If I can remember, I'll say it, but I can't really remember right now. What was I gonna say? All right, whatever. On to the next thought. You know what would be a great research project? To do a research project on the potential positive benefits of art for people with, you know, either dementia or a form of Alzheimer's, not necessarily as a way to prevent people, not as like a preventative or a cure or anything, for lack of a better term, but as it would be interesting to do a research project, like, you know, do people with Alzheimer's or dementia, if they have a creative activity such as painting or sculpting, does it make them happier? And I would hypothesize yes, because, you know, the cool thing about painting, unless you're painting something like this, the cool thing about painting is at a certain point while I'm painting this, I'm not like trying to remember how to paint, right? I'm just like looking at this and I'm like, oh, what needs to be done? So, you know, it makes me wonder that if, like, now what could be a problem is they forget where, you know, where the oil is, and they forget where the mineral spirits are, and then they might mix that with their drinks. Now that could be a huge problem. And I'm not saying that joking, I'm actually saying that fairly seriously. But let's just say, you know, you used a non-toxic chemical. I don't know if there's a way, but like, I feel like if someone had painting and they could still do it if they had Alzheimer's or dementia, but mainly because, you know, you could just look at it, and if you have, you know, even if you forget what you were painting, you have your brush and your paints in front of you. I mean, it's almost kind of obvious what you were doing or working on, especially if it was in your room. I mean, I don't know the extent of, like, you know, I'm not trying, like, I don't know the full extent of how dementia or anything like Alzheimer's truly affects the mind. But I do, now that I'm just putting this out there, like, for a scientist out there that is really passionate about this subject, and, you know, again, not necessarily as a cure, but as a meaningful activity that helps someone struggling with the with it find happiness and joy in their daily activities. That's the goal that I'm trying to go for. Because again, it's not like, although some people think that painting is a huge mental activity, I don't think it's a mental activity. Some paintings, right? This painting requires planning and thinking and deciding and, you know, all those things. But I think that there's a lot of painting, abstract specifically, that doesn't really require all this complex thought process. There's an entire way of painting, and like, if you have, you know, potential for dementia or anything, like, it could be useful to have an activity. So anyway, that's my thought, but I need to get back into focusing on this so we could finish. I reached a point now where I have so few things to do that, you know, I can't just constantly jump around from place to place, seeing this and that, and working on this and that. I really have to, like, you know, just find areas, which is why I'm probably not flowing as freely as I usually do. I've reached a point where the painting, I just need to focus on a few areas here. And then here, and come down, bring this down a little bit. Let's see about this one little shadow here. Let's go under. All right. Willem de Kooning had Alzheimer's at the end of his life. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Shruti Mali. For them to remember, wouldn't it be better to surround them with an activity that they have a deep-rooted connection with? Because you can get a person to paint, but then if there is no real connection, they might not remember. Right. You know, that's a good point. So I read this book. It's called, I can't remember if Atomic Habits or The Power of Habits or something like that. I can't remember which one of those books. But, and this is a very big disclaimer here. You know, very big disclaimer that I'm not a doctor. It's not medical advice. But they said that they did research on on Alzheimer's patients. And what they found is that habits are very important in Alzheimer's patients, in the sense of, like, if there's something like, and I can't remember the exact research, so, like, you know, don't get too upset if you go read the book and it's wrong. But something like, they did a research on a majority of, like, patients could remember how to tie their shoes, or could remember to, like, you know, certain things that were habitually ingrained in them, but they couldn't necessarily remember or retain, you know, anything new, and perhaps, like, you know, any sort of knowledge. But if it was like a physical activity that didn't require like trying to access access certain thoughts or something that they did perfectly fine. So to your point, yeah, I think that's possibly true. Is definitely if it's an activity that they've done since childhood, you know, it's helpful. But that doesn't. But I still think it'd be worthwhile to know, like, if someone took it on as a new activity in their later life, whether it would have a positive health benefit. But let's see, the dress is looking okay. There's like some more just super subtle things that I might be able to dabble onto here, but not too much more. I really have reached the point where it's looking all right. And too much will be exactly that, just too much. All right, we got that cup. It's looking okay. Let me bring this down a little bit. Little window bar is kind of distracting. Do I really need to tighten up these buildings? I don't think so. I don't think these buildings need tightening up. De Kooning was still able to paint, but the debate is the work he created at that time, should it be considered masterpieces? Yeah, why not? Why not? You know what my problem is? Sometimes I don't know if I'm avoiding certain details. And this isn't something, you know, you should really put out there, but you know, I put everything out there. But sometimes I don't know if I'm neglecting details because I really don't think it's going to add. I don't think it's going to contribute, and I think it's you know, just trying to overwork something versus I'm being lazy. Like for example, these top two sections, and you know, these are decisions that I have to make, but you know, these top two sections, the top of these buildings, it's very minimal detail, like it's a couple different colors. And I'm just debating. I'm like, do I really need to paint that in and add extra detail, or is it really good enough? And good enough isn't really good enough. You know, you shouldn't go for good enough. But definitely, you know, it is important to me that that I have to know myself and know whether I'm doing it because that's how I feel it should look, or whether it's because of something else. I go with the black. The Kuni was able to paint, but yeah. Yeah, what do you say about it, Omizu? Omizu. Oh, the Mizu. The Mizu. Let's see how this dress is. How am I feeling about this dress? This dress is looking good, but I still want... Okay, here's some detail that I should tighten up here. I need to clean the white off my brush. Or the black. I need to clean the black off this brush. Give it a nice good wiping. And this part of the brush, part of the dress right here that should be more of an angle rather than, you know, this space here. Let's just make some of this a bit more subtle. A little bit more of a subtle transition here. Make more subtle transitions by adding some more white. Some clean blues. Nice and subtle. That's how we'll do it. And here we go. We need another white highlight. And we're going to go like this. Right down here needs to be separated. Let's go a little brighter white. Just to show that this is like a fold. And you know what? I see some designs on this dress. I can't really quite make them out, but I'm gonna do my best to figure out these little, it's like white designs on a white. Such subtle little designs. All right. I like to say a lot, huh? It's a horrible habit. Horrible habit. Just a blank, but I mean, that's all it is. It's a blank thought, right? Like, I have a thought, but it's like pretty much blank. I'm just looking. I wonder if it counts saying, you know, like when you're speaking versus, so I'm not really speaking. I'm just like expressing my thoughts as they come. But it makes me wonder, you know, if it's a blank thought. Let's fill in this area. Let's go like this. All right. Let's go a little more. Let's make this the headpiece on him a little bit more distinct. So we're going to come around. let me see if I can find a good reflection. I want to find some good lighting for both of these figures. Let's see, how can I add just a hint of light on him? I just want to add like a nice little detail like this light across the side of her head. Just a nice subtle detail that could kind of like give him this extra oomph. How could I give him a little glow? That's what references are for. Eventually you find like a beautiful little reference that you can use. All right, here's what we're gonna do. All right, let's go. Before we do that, I want to tighten up these back windows again. Back windows just aren't doing it for me. They're just too. Just need something to create some separation. Clean off the brush here. And let's go like this. I spent a lot of detail working. I spent a lot of time working on her detail. So in the next few moments, I just want to add some touches onto him. Just the extra little highlights. If I can find my Prussian blue. You know what? I'm just going to go with an ultramarine. I've got this ultramarine here. It's really... You know what? Let's just go in again. Oh, what should I do? Let's see. I'm not stressing. I'm like thinking extra about this area because, you know, it is directly surrounding the groom. So I want it to look, you know, it has to have a certain quality to it. I'm gonna go darker. I want to give it some sense of reflection, but not too much. And on camera, it kind of just like looks like a bunch of highlights because I painted into the windows and the paint's really wet. But I think it's gonna look good. I think it's gonna have a very painterly quality that gives the idea of reflection just enough for the viewer to please the eye. And now let's go, that's that window. Let's go onto his back here. So for his back, I need to just add like a nice, just subtle glow around him. Just to separate our him from the background. And I think just a nice little halo-esque, something a little halo-esque around him. Not like a halo on his head, but like halo-esque. I gotta use a smaller brush for this. Nice small dry brush. Dry small brush. Let's see how we can do this. All right. I think this one is a little extra bright, but it's very, this detail adds a lot. I need to find just a nice subtle detail that doesn't. Let's go. How do you make yellow darker without I'm trying to think, how would I make yellow darker other than black? Let me use my color wheel. Oh, hey, people are gonna call me a noob for this. What happened to my color wheel? No. Can't even find the tool that I'm looking for now. What happened to my color wheel? What the heck? It's like a mathematician without his calculator. Oh no, come on. Just when I want to demonstrate how to use a color wheel. Not really demonstrate, actually. I'm going to use it. Where's my color wheel? Still hat. I got a old school Dave. All right, old school Dave doesn't know his culture. Here's my color wheel. Doesn't know his range of cultures around the world. It's all good. All right, do the math in my head. So I'm looking for like a nice, just like a subtle little glow. Want it to be yellow, but not too yellow. Maybe a hint of yellow orange. A hint of yellow orange. So if I do yellow and I add a little bit of just that tiniest bit of red, I think what I need is yellow, just the tiniest bit of red, I think. Just trying to figure out. If I add yellow and I add yellow, I get red. So I need just the tiniest bit. Yeah, all right. I could probably just do yellow, but I'd like it for it to have a bit of a warmer glow. So we're gonna grab our pink. We have a rose color that's already ready to go. Okay, so let's go like this. We're gonna come down. Gotta get rid of some more of the paint on this brush. I want it to be like a really dry application of it. Oh boy. You know what? This color might actually work down the pants too. So if the light was coming from above, it would probably block out down here. I can probably bring this down a little bit. Just around the edge of the pants here. And let's go to another brush now. I'm gonna just bring this highlight in here. What the heck? Gross. My glove fell into a vat of oil. And here we go. So just No, I don't like it. I don't like the extra glow. I think it's kind of cheesy. That's what I don't like about it. I think it's kind of cheesy. Trying to add an extra glow. I don't know. Like I've seen some other painting. I got this idea when I was looking at other paintings, and this person literally just added a light, like a source of light around the entire figures, both figures, and just they added a light around the entire figure, and I was like, that kind of looks cheesy, you know? It's like adding light on a figure just for the sake of adding light on them, not because it looks spectacularly extra beautiful or anything. So, you know, now I'm just gonna blend back in this black. That's the goal. Just bring this black in, keep his outfit, you know, maybe leave him a little flat. You know what? This detail's not so bad. It's just like right around the shoulders, I think. You know, I don't think it's too bad, like right around the shoulder, just a little extra pop. How many hours do you think I have? Oh yeah, highlights really make a difference. Phil has no clue. Such a nice painting. Happy Sunday. Remember, thank you for joining. So let's see, how does it really make a difference? How many hours? I don't know. I'll have to go back. I will have to go back and take another look at the take a look at my streams, because that's the only way I'm able to track how many hours. Well, actually, you know what? I probably have to add like 4 hours to my streaming time, because I painted at the wedding for about 4 to 5 hours. Let's see what I can do about this highlight. Maybe just to add a bit more to this. Not too much. Let's see. Just take this brush. Want to follow the shape of the arm here. All right, so hard to see too much of what's going on with this light, this highlight. You know I was here? You need to know I was here. What do you mean by that? All right, so we're gonna leave this. Let's clean off this brush. Take a break on this, come back in a few hours. And there we have it. So sweet. Old school Dave. Old school Dave is here. All right. So with that, we've only worked on this painting for probably out of an hour and a half. I've probably only spent an hour actually painting. That's the other thing too about live streams though, is that, you know, when I paint, I'm not painting the entire live stream. You know, there's like times when I step back, take a look, mix paint, chat, do other stuff during the live stream, take a break, things like that. Although I don't take long breaks on most of my streams, but we are going to do a break right now. I'm going to sign off here. And it's important to let this back dry to see how it looks. Yeah, hey, take care, Josh. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to take a little break right now. Let some of this sink in, let some of the paint dry. And with that, take care, everyone. Thank you for being here.